Hi, so for the final week of Codeboxx, we had to develop a mobile application with the language of our choice. So I chose to use React Native as it was a powerful framework that was also cross-platform. So it starts with the app.js, which is the kind of the root of the application. So it'll start where it'll return here a screen. Essentially, if the user is not logged in, it'll show the startup screen. And if the user is logged in, it'll create a user token and it'll show a stack navigator with two different screens. So for starters, the startup screen here, it's pretty simple. We have an image background, we have a logo up top, and then here we have a container, which is an input where we can input the email. And here we have a login button. So when we press the login button, it will call my REST API with the email. And on the API side, it'll check if the email belongs to an employee of Rocket Elevators. If so, it'll return a status 200. If not, it'll say not found. So when the email is found inside of the database, it'll call login, and login is a method at the root of the application using a context here. It'll set the user token to logged in. So once the user token is not equal to null, it'll show the stack navigator with the home screen and the elevator status screen. So for the home screen here, uh, it'll call a use effect, which is kind of like a document on document ready in the web development. So essentially, once the screen is rendered, it'll first call this method, and this will set the loading to true. So if the loading is true, I'll call my API here to get the list of elevators that have a status stopped. So with the response, I'm creating a JSON object with an ID, a type, a model, status, and serial number. And I am essentially putting all of these elevators inside a list here. And the screen rendered, again, has an image background. And here we are using a flat list to display all of the different elevators. So I have a flat list. They all have they all have a touchable opacity, which means we can click on them, and yeah, it'll show the elevator and the ID. And also at the bottom, I'll have a logout button. So when we press that button, it'll call logout, and essentially logout will set the token to null and loading to true and so on and so forth. So once we press on an elevator here, it'll navigate to my elevator stack screen. And I'm also passing on a parameter here, which is the elevator itself. So the item is the elevator itself from the elevator list. So I'm passing that on onto the elevator screen right here. So here I am catching the root params, which is the elevator from the home screen. And with that, I can display the status, the type, the model, serial number, and so on and so forth. So again, here we have an image background. I have a little title text here, elevator with the ID. I'll have the status with a different color. If the status is stopped, it'll show red. If it's operational, it'll show green. So again, also at the bottom, I have a button. So if the status is stopped, I'll have a red button that says end task, and that will call my function end task here. And this will essentially call my API, and then I am passing in a parameter here, operational, and the elevator ID. And on the API side, it'll set this status to this specified elevator ID and save the changes inside of my database. And once this is done, so essentially, if the elevator status is not equal to stopped, it'll show a different button on the bottom, which will show confirm and it will show green. And once we click on that button, it'll go back. And again, once we go back to the home screen, it'll call the use effect and it'll essentially recall my API to update the list of elevators. So now I'll show you a little hands-on demo of how it looks on the mobile app.